The license path is the tag that you edit for setting the path to the license file or the port and server for your license server. If you are using more than a single license server, you can define them by separating them with semicolon. The license path is an optional tag. One might raise the question, why are license paths optional? Well, it is very simple. If the license path is not designated within the input XML file, we will attempt to derive the license settings from the license environment settings. If the license environment settings are also not defined, the server deployment will stop and notify you about it. Now, let's take one step back. The fact that you can define different license servers during install and during deployment means that your deployment might not be consistent with the installation. Our recommendation is to be consistent with the license definition or define multiple license servers to prevent inconsistency. To summarize, make sure that the licenses that were available during installation are also defined during the deployment of the XDM server. In case you need to update license paths for your XDM server, for example, if you have new license server available, you can always do that by updating the input XML file, importing the XML, and redeploying the server. Like any other server, the XDM server should have few ports defined in order to enable clients to communicate with it. The nice thing about port configuration is that it is fully flexible and completely optional. This means that by default all the ports are set up for you by the deployment utility. If for some reason you want to control the range of the ports that will be used, or for example you want to specifically define some of the ports, you can do that. Moreover, it is important to understand that external ports, those that are open for clients to access, must not only be defined but also open and not blocked by firewall or any other controller. Within the input XML file, under Server Port Configuration section, you can see the tag Auto-Assigned Ports Range. Using this tag, you can define the range for the auto-assigned ports. This is our recommendation and also the default. During deployment of the server, while defining each module that uses a port, the utility first checks if there is a specific port defined for the module. If there is no such port defined, the utility picks the next available port from this range and set it for the module. Before that, it also verifies that this port is available and not in use already by the host server. The port tags are self-describing, so that web port is the port used for client using HTTP web protocol. Embedded database port is the port for the embedded database, and so on. Again, if you do not have to specifically define a port, you can omit those tags and the deployment utility will automatically take care of setting it. If you are looking for specific ports, such as SSL web port or the Oracle port, those should be configured in a different section. Web SSL port is defined in the SSL config section, and the Oracle port is defined in the Oracle configuration section. Once you import the XML using config import, you can use diag pre-deploy test to check the availability of all the pending ports that will be used during deployment. In this example, you can see that all ports are available. After a successful deployment of the server, you can use the diag active config to list all the ports that are in use. We started the video with a demo of the license configuration. Later, we explained about the port settings, how to check the availability of the ports, and how to get a report of the active ports.